Hey, buddy, we're going to get a grandpa story here for you.
No, I was just thinking with your dad that when your grandma and I were first married and she was pregnant with Tony, we're driving around, and as 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds are prone to do, we wanted to go do a little compassion showing. And there, beyond my knowledge of this concrete slab, it was very big. It's like for a huge warehouse. So we drove up on the slab, and we were kind of looking at the stars and kind of messing around a little bit, and got ready to leave, and I put it in gear and pulled forward, and I didn't realize how close we are to the edge of the slab, and the slab was probably 2 feet deep. So as I was driving forward, it went chunk. The whole front end went down all the way to the frame on my Camaro on the front end, and there was no cell phones. It was dark as a dungeon, except for the headlights, and my pregnant wife's in the front seat. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get us out of there. But couldn't walk because it was kind of out of the city limits, kind of out on the exterior of the city. And again, not a lot of traffic. There was nothing I could do to wave anybody down. So the only thought I had, if I could pick up the front end and move it back on the slab. And again, it wasn't any thought about how much it weighed or anything like that. It was just see if I could do it and get my wife out of that situation. So I went out the front and left the lights on so I guess I could see where I was standing. And sure enough, it was all the way down the frame, and wheels were hanging off the front of the slab. And your poor little grandma, she was worried what's going to happen, what we're going to do. And so God gave me the adrenaline, I guess, maybe to get my family out of a spot, but I grabbed a hold of the front bumper with my back to the car, and I gave it everything I had, and I picked up the front of the Camaro and slid it back, had it in neutral, and I slid it back to where the wheels were on the slab again. And then, of course, we drove off backwards from now on, not then. But at one time, for the last few years, I tried to figure out what that would weigh on the front end of a Camaro. And there's this website, they had a question about, and there was a lot about front end alignments and how to do this, how to do that. And they were talking about how they drove a Camaro, small block Camaro, and that again, it just kind of corresponded to what we had, onto a scale that they were doing front end alignments. And in the Camaro, as they pulled the whole thing out, it was like 3,300 pounds for the Camaro. But then they drove it forward where you didn't have the weight of the front end, and the weight of the rear end, half basically of the Camaro, was like 1,600 pounds. So they moved it back with just the front end on the scale, and it was a little over 1,700 pounds. Now I know I didn't bench press this or pick it up out of the air just to play with it, but it's a lot of weight if you even figure half of that weight to pick up and put on a slab. So God gave me a lot of strength at that time in my life because I didn't have much sense. But that's the story of that Camaro thing. But yeah, your mom made sure we didn't go, or your grandma made sure we didn't go back to that place anymore without daylight.
No more necking.
Well, there wasn't. I can't say there was no more necking. There was no more necking in that place.
All right, thanks, Dad.
All right.